Good morning. How's everybody? Good. My name is Marques Ogden. I'm from Washington, D.C. I currently live in Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm going to tell you how I actually got here. Probably it was around early March. I was flying back from a speaking job I was doing up in Connecticut with Bryant University, and I ended up coming back on a plane delayed, and there was a guy sitting next to me who also was on a flight he shouldn't have been on as well, Pastor Brett Rickey. So he was in the middle, I was on the aisle. So I'm about 6'5" and a half, probably about 270, so I'm not a small person. So I was sitting there, I had my headphones in, listening to music on the flight home, and he taps me on the shoulder like this. And I said, "What's going on, man? I got my headphones on, looking at my phone, like, why are you tapping me? Like, what's going on here? What is all this about?" So he says, "Excuse me, sir." I said, "Yes." "You have some really large shoulders. So can you tell me what you did in your previous life?" I was like, "Well, okay, I guess we're going to have this conversation." So I told him I played in the National Football League for 6 years, and then I told him my story, and he said, "Wow, Marques, I need you to come to Highland Park Church. I'm the lead pastor, and tell your story to my congregation." And that's what I'm doing here. So that's really divine intervention. Like, he's on a plane that he shouldn't have been on. I'm on a flight that was delayed, and we sit next to each other and 400 people on a plane, and here we are. So this is what it is. So I'm going to tell you my story. I'm going to tell you about highs, lows. I'm going to tell you about being an NFL athlete, making a lot of money, then transitioning, going bankrupt, and then having to rebuild my life to where I am today. If you're going through a tough time right now, if you are hitting a rock bottom, or if you're experiencing some type of difficulty, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody in life goes through something difficult. The thing is, do you have the faith and perseverance to get up when things in life are tough? But before that, let me tell you my story, okay? So the first thing, again, from Washington, D.C., I was raised by a single father. Our mother left us, me and my brother and my father, when I was 8 years old around Christmas time. Didn't see her again for almost 6 to 7 months. My father wanted the only thing he wanted from the beginning, which was to raise both his sons. That's all he wanted. When my parents divorced, my mom went her way. My dad said, "You can leave, but give me my boys. I want my sons to be able to be raised respecting women, respecting themselves, and being men of God. That's what I want." So my father raised me and my brother. My brother also played in the NFL for 12 years. He's actually in the Hall of Fame. And then I ended up going to Howard University in Washington, D.C., got a full scholarship, got there. I wanted to be an investment banker. I wanted to be someone that worked on Wall Street, helping people manage their money. The National Football League saw a lot of potential in me. I was drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars and Jack Del Rio. So I was drafted in 2003 out of Howard, went to the National Football League, was playing I had a 6-year career. At the end of year 5, I faced my first real difficult challenge. My father, who was only 57, who had kidney problems, had a heart issue. He had constrictive pericarditis, where the valves around his heart had tightened. My father had open heart surgery. The surgery was a success. He came out, he was doing well, he was in intensive care, recovering. I went to see him, he was doing well, but he said, "Marques, nice to see you, get out." I'm like, "Get out? I just drove an hour and a half to come say hi to you and come see you." He said, "Yeah, I know, come back tomorrow." I said, "All right, Dad, I'll see you tomorrow." That night I go home. That morning, about around 1 a.m., I get a phone call from the hospital. "Marques, your father is going into cardiac arrest. We don't know what's going on. If you can get here now." Baltimore is about an hour and a half drive from DC. I got to the hospital in 55 minutes. I was doing 95 miles an hour down the parkway. I got there at 2:34 p.m. They came out around 2:50 in the morning. Marcus, I'm sorry to tell you, your father's passed away. He passed away at 2:31 in the morning, pronounced dead. So I missed my father by 3 minutes. 3 minutes. This was my first test of faith coming out of my life. When I lost my father at such a young age, when I couldn't even say goodbye, I never told him I loved him the last time I saw him. And I held that, ladies and gentlemen, for years. Years. He was my best friend. To see someone the last time you see them and not tell them that I love you, that's your best friend, can break you down. And it did. And I finally forgave myself after knowing that my dad knew that I loved him. So if you love someone, tell them today. Tell them. Tell them. Because because tomorrow is not promised. My dad said, I'll see you tomorrow. Never saw him tomorrow. So always, never, ever, ever take anybody for granted. So after that, this is when my life had issues. I got hooked on alcohol. I got hooked on painkillers. I got hooked on narcotics. Because I was in so much pain, I did not want to continue to live. I tried to end my life because it was very difficult. I did not want to continue. God had other plans for me. He would not allow me to do that. God said, Marcus, you can keep drinking all you want. You're just going to wake up in the morning with a headache. So all you're going to do, come out, let you go. And every morning I woke up with a headache. And eventually I said, okay, I've got to get my life back on track. Got myself together, worked out, back to the NFL. Went to play for the Titans, loved it. Had a back injury, my career's over. So in less than 12 months, lost my father, my NFL career, over. Point I'm trying to make is, I had another test of lack of faith. When I said, God, what are you doing to me? Father's gone, football's gone, what am I gonna do? So what do? I go back to what I know. I go back to the bottle. I'm trying to drink until I can't wake up. Again, God said, headaches are you gonna get, Marcus? Keep doing this, I'm not letting you go. So after 6 months, I eventually got myself together. Then I started a construction business in Baltimore City. I took my knowledge of being good with marketing, good with people, and I built a business. I seeked, I knocked, and I went and got. Built an empire in my late 20s. Late 20s. Went from a $0 company in 2008 to 2012 at the beginning, a $14 million a year business in less than 5 years. But the Bible says if you're going to be successful, you have to be complacent. You have to be willing to allow people to give you guidance, and you have to be humble in your approach to success, which I was not. By the end of 2012, I had lost my business, I had lost my home, I had lost my cars. Everything that I had worked for was taken from me, ripped from me, because I made a really bad decision in business. One of the things that God did give me during that time was my wife. We met in July of 2012. I filed my bankruptcy in basically about February of 2013. So imagine that. You go from an NFL athlete, struggles with narcotic addictions, alcohol, gambling, everything bad. Got myself up, became a very successful business owner. Millions of dollars in Baltimore, everybody loved me. I hired a bunch of people, paid people's salaries, things are great. Hit rock bottom again because I did not live the way that God intended me to live by being humble, grateful, and appreciative. And it caught off with me. Success does not mean material things, ladies and gentlemen. Success is, how do you treat people? How do you value them? I was talking to Kenny, who works here earlier. Ladies and gentlemen, when it's time, when you're gone, and you're sitting there being judged above, they don't care about what you've done, how big was your house, how big was your car, how many cars did you have. They don't care about that. They want to know, how did you help others? What was your being on earth? Were you someone that gave the word, spread positivity, helped people? Were you that person? Everyone thinks that material things equal success, and it does not. It doesn't, because material things can be pulled from you right away, in an instant. So never forget that. So I'm sitting there now. It's March of 2013. I had lost everything. I moved from Baltimore to North Carolina. I'm down in North Carolina. I had a job with Merrill Lynch. But here's the problem. I didn't get the job in time to make pay for that month. So when I moved to North Carolina, I was 1 week away from being homeless. 1 week. Imagine that. What is your rock bottom? What is your down and out point? Well, mine was literally being almost homeless at that time. It got worse a few months later. But at that time, that was my bottom, about to be homeless. By God's grace, the National Football League helped me get myself together, and they gave me a trust fund and paid some bills directly so I could get myself back to where I needed to be. So that was God's grace given to me to help me have the chance to get my life back. Like I told Pastor Ricky, God will give you grace if you're willing to be in a position to accept it. I accepted it, but he said, okay, Marcus, now I'm going to give you this grace. Now what are you going to do with it? Are you going to come over here and work? Or are you going to stay right over here and blame everybody like you did before? Because my grace will run out in 4 months. That's all you got. You got 4 months, big guy. That's it. 4 months. So I was over here. I was at Merrill Lynch working hard. Problem was, guys, you know it. If you're in college, you've done something, you get out of school for a while, you forget it. My mind was not into finance anymore. So what happens? I get fired. Got fired from Merrill Lynch. The next day, went to a construction company, got a job. They hired me, gave me a company truck, phone, gave me my first week's pay up front. Here I am. I told my wife, we're back, here we go. That next Thursday, I'm fired. I'm fired 2 times in a week. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine coming home and telling your spouse you've been fired not once, but twice in a week? You know how bad, you can laugh, it's okay. You know how bad that is? Like, once is enough, and then twice in a week. So then what I do, I took a job training kids how to play football because I knew it. I enjoyed it. I love giving back. So I was giving value, getting paid for it. Problem is, football season was upon me. So my clients were back to football, so I didn't have enough people coming through for business. So what do? One of my clients owned a business. She said, Marcus, I'm looking for help. If you know anybody wants a job, let me know. I said, well, what is a job? It's a janitor. How much does it pay? $8 an hour. I'll take it. I'll take it. I worked as a janitor, ladies and gentlemen, making $8.25 an hour on the graveyard shift. I had 80,000 plus people cheering for me in a stadium. Fell to become an alcoholic after I got kicked out, after I had an injury. Rose to be a business owner, millions of dollars, doing things great. I got arrogant, I got egotistical, you couldn't tell me anything. Down here to rock bottom. No money, bankrupt, broke. The only job I could get was a janitor, along with what I did. And I did it. I did the job because when you are doing something to feed your family, you'll take anything. You'll take anything. People who tell me, I can't find a job, Marcus. I can't do anything, Marcus. Nobody's going to hire me, Marcus. Do you know anything about that? Really? Really? Why won't you take a job? Oh, they're not hiring at the bank. They're not hiring at, the corporate job downtown. Target's hiring. Oh, Target? What? Target? Who do you think I am? What, would you do that? No, I did worse, buddy. I did anything I had to do. I would have taken Target if I knew they were hiring. You know why? Because Target's paying $15 an hour. Almost double my salary at the time. They're like, what do you mean? I was a janitor. Literally, people today say, Marcus, there's no way. You're not telling the truth. I'm like, why would I lie about that? I mean, I could see if I said I owned a Lamborghini, a Bentley, a penthouse in Miami. That makes sense. Why would I lie about being a janitor? Then they're like, okay. So I said, look, go get a job and stop waiting for something to fall in your lap. That is the biggest problem with society today. Everybody wants something for nothing. Doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. So I have a question for you. When life knocks you down, are you willing to get back up? When it knocks you down, are you willing to get back up? So after I got knocked down, took the job, I worked hard. I got myself together, but I had my aha moment. I was taking the trash out at 3 o'clock in the morning on my shift. 3 a.m. I worked from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m. That was my shift for 6 months. Taking the trash out, took my gloves off, long day on the job, had the trash right here in my hand. I was going to throw it into the dump, but nobody told me because nobody was out there with me, there was a rip on the other side of the bag. So I went to throw the trash came out, and all the trash came right back, ricocheted on my body. Spoiled milk, rotten food, drenched my body. That was my rock bottom moment. It got no worse than that, and it could smell no worse than that either. Okay? So imagine that. So then I get in my truck, I go home and say, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out a way to turn my life into a vehicle to help others. So maybe I'll be a counselor. Maybe I'll be a mentor. I chose a speaker. Okay, speaker. I don't know. So I said, all right, Marcus, what are we going to talk about? And this is what I tell people all the time. One of the biggest things I say is if your past or your past days are your best days, you're not living for now and into the future. You have to be present in the moment. I was always focusing on a football player. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, for 30 straight months, I didn't get one paid speaking job. Because every time I approached someone, it was about, well, I'm a former football player. I can help your company because of that. They were like, really? Nobody here plays football. All right, good call. So how about this? So then once I learned that you have to give people value, and like God always says, give value to help others, and life will give you rewards. That's what it's about. So look at people who are successful. They give great value. They don't focus on the dollar. Again, material things is not going to be the long haul. You need it, but it's not the driving force principle. Once I learned how to give value to people, then I started getting hired more. Home Depot, NFL player engagement, NFL teams, big corporations started hiring me. So the key for you to understand is that in order to persevere, you need 3 things in your possession. Okay? Number 1 is you have to have a championship mindset. Mindset is about what information you are feeding your mind on a daily basis. I had a lady that was in the congregation earlier, Marcus, your story touched me. I have 5 young kids, 12 and under. I have had these days where I keep feeding my mind negative thoughts. I'm all over the place. I'm running around. Am I good enough? And I told her, ma'am, you are good enough. Your kids are a reflection of you. They were well dressed. They were very nice. They were polite. And I told her, you have to have the mindset to keep feeding your mind positive, because if negativity creeps into your mind, you're going to shut down. And if you shut down, your 5 kids are going to reap the benefits of that, and you don't want that. You don't want that. So she said, you helped me, Marcus, so much, because you just told me my mindset is to keep going. Keep going. So I told her, just continue what you're doing. And I told her just to keep going, and she just said, Marcus, thank you so much. Number 2 is relentless desire. That's the inner force inside of you to keep going when everyone tells you you're making a mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, God has a path for us to walk, but man will knock us off the path if we allow them to. They will. People are not in a society today where I feel most of them want to see you do well. A lot of times people become jealous, envious. They want what you have because they don't want to work. They don't want to work. So you have to be the people in this room that are driven to be successful, but also understand that you have to have that relentless desire to do so. And number 3, you cannot be fazed by rejection. If someone tells you no, it stands for next opportunity. Do not let no stop you from pursuing your greatness. If I took no as a way to stop, I would not be here today. So, again, successful people are not better than anybody. They're not better than anybody else. They work hard and they persevere when everybody around them tells them no. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Damon John, they all have been through some type of persevering moment where they said, I am going to push when everybody else tells me I'm driven to fail. That makes sense? So you have to be the people that are going to have that mindset, that relentless desire, and you will not allow rejection to create a prisoner in your mind. Because that's all fear is. It's when we allow our mind to stay in a prison to not go for what we want. That's what it is. So you have to be cognizant of that. So here is a quote I'm going to give you from the Bible that I believe will help you when it comes to faith. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 through 31. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. What then shall we say to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? That, I'm going to tell you right now, that one sentence might be my entire favorite in the Bible. When God is for us, who can be against us? If God's on our side and the whole world is not, we will still win. We will still win. We don't need man to be behind us. If God is on our side, man who has the same vision will align with us. Man who does not will go their other way. And that's fine. Because if you don't want to be with me and with God, I don't want to share my life anyway. I don't want to share my wife has helped me through so many times in my life, and God gave her to me because he knew how hard-headed I was. He knew how much it was going to be to get me to get myself together. So he gave me the perfect partner to help me get where I need to be. So understand, ladies and gentlemen, when God is for us, yeah, good job, man. Lean a little closer. There you go. So when God is for us, no one can be against us. Doesn't matter. So that's faith, okay? Now, a perseverance quote. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. I said this earlier, ladies and gentlemen. God has a path for us. Man will try to pull us off that path. Jealousy, envy, wrath. Everyone around us who's not on a godly path is going to try to pull you to where they want you to go. Marcus, don't be a speaker, be a football coach. Marcus, go coach high school PE. And you know what? That's fine. If people want to do that, we need that in our society. But that wasn't my decision. That wasn't my calling. I had a higher purpose for myself. So when you decide what your purpose is, you stay focused and you walk that path. And don't let anyone knock you off that path. And if they try to knock you off the path, get them out of your life. Move on. Exactly right. Move on. So here's what you need to succeed in life. Number one is faith. Believing in a higher power that you cannot see. When my father died, when I was done with football, when I lost my business, if I didn't have a strong faith, I wouldn't be standing. There's no way. Because myself and man tried to get me to stay down. And I was the number one culprit. I will take all accountability. I drank a lot, drugs, narcotics, painkillers, anything to suppress emotions and deal with the real issues, I did it. But once God allowed me to get myself, stop feeling sorry for myself, I got my life back on track. So faith. Number two is consistency. Doing something every single day, every single way to achieve success. Consistency is necessary to achieve greatness. And the third one is going to be grit. Get your elbows dirty, get your hands dirty, get your wrists dirty, and you work. You work. Seek, knock, go and get. It's not enough just to seek it and want it to fall into your lap. It's not designed that way. God wants us to have riches in our life, but we have to work for it. If you're having a difficult time, it's okay, but don't allow it to keep you down in a state of anger, frustration, and just total wreckage of emotion just because you don't want to work to get better. My life is better, but it started with me taking accountability for my mistakes. Once I took accountability, that's when things started going the right way. So here's my final thought for you guys. When you live your life to serve the Lord, you reap the greatest rewards. I think that's about as self-explanatory as I can get. It's self-explanatory. You have to live the life that He wants you to live. The right people, the right path, the right things going on, the right inner circle. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no shame in asking for help. We all have imperfections, and we all have things we need to work on to get better. So if you're having a problem, if life's difficult, if you're in a rough time, if you're at your rock bottom, I've been there. I've been there. I was almost homeless 6 years ago. Homeless people don't end up there. Something in their life happened to get them there. And I was almost right there. So I tell people, when you have something going on in your life, you make a mistake, you own it, You fix it and you move on. Don't dwell. But again, if you live your life to serve the Lord, you will reap the greatest rewards. Thank you.